Welcome to Podlygamists, the Sister Wives Rewatch podcast.
We sit down each week and recap an episode of TLC's longest-running reality show, following the Browns, a Mormon polygamous family originating in Lehi, Utah.
I'm Samantha Kaiser.
And I'm Haley Graff.
And this is Podlygamists,
Season 3, Episode 1.
It's good to be back. It feels like it's been a while. It's been a good, 3-ish weeks since we've done Sister Wives?
So almost a month now.
Yeah. But yeah, they came in hot with this one. It was like longer episode. It was like none of it was really filler content, it felt like.
Right.
It was good.
Mm-hmm.
And they left us on a cliffhanger. And so that's kind of right where we pick up.
Yeah, exactly there.
Right? Yeah. So basically we start out and the episode is titled The Announcement. And it originally aired on September 25th, 2011. And then the caption for that is, "A nervous Robyn finally announces her new pregnancy to the family." So, yeah. We start out at Mary's house.
Yeah, because the cliffhanger was basically her just going over to Mary's and be like, "I need to talk to you." And then they just ended it.
It was so basically Robyn wants to, they're all getting together at Mary's that evening for dinner, for like family dinner / announcement. And it is a sweet gesture that Robyn wants to go over alone and talk to Mary, because kind of as we've discussed and as we've come to know about Mary is that she has had fertility issues and she only was able to have Mariah, and then she had one miscarriage in addition to that. So the whole, it's, the concern is that it's a touchy subject
Right.
for Mary. And Robyn basically was like, "It's okay if you're sad. Like you can be sad. I just want you to have time to like digest that basically before we kind of drop the bomb on the family." Well, first of all, the cameras are here and they're in this weird, like, they're like in a closet. Like it can only be so many things, right? Like, we just moved here from Vegas. There's been a lot of drama that's like what could have come up other than that in this time? What I sensed, and maybe was like not the case, but she immediately goes, "That's awesome," or "Yay!" And it seems like she's smiling to like make Robyn comfortable, but she is it is like a little bit hard. It seems like it doesn't seem super.
I think she's like genuinely excited, but I mean, she is just going to be sad too. Like that, she's just going to feel both those things. Like, because she really does love Robyn, and that she is going to feel like she is happy for her the way you would be happy for someone who's excited about having a baby. But yeah, she can't help it, a little bit sad herself.
And she does talk about in there, like on the couch. Then they cut to the whole family, all the adults, I should say, on the couch on their like interview. And she expresses that she feels bad that other people feel the need to handle her like gently in this topic. Like, she feels bad that everyone is concerned about Mary's reaction when this kind of news comes up, which makes sense. Like, I'm sure it doesn't feel good to be like have to be tiptoed around or feel like, everyone's like talking about, oh, how's Mary's gonna handle this and that kind of thing. It's a no-win situation, so I think that they handled it thoughtfully, at least.
I was glad that, I mean, and Cody said too, both Cody and Robyn were saying like that it was good that she went and told Mary. And so then she could have, if she was sad, she could have her reaction with just Robyn there. She didn't have to have crying and stuff in front of the rest of the family. And
mm-hmm. Totally. So, she's only 6 weeks, so it's pretty early. But they start talking about finding out the gender, and I thought this was kind of an interesting conversation because Mary's like, "I would never, would never do it." And for Robyn, this is the first time that she is going to have found out in advance before she has 3, kids already. So it's her first time doing it, and I just thought, like, I've had this conversation with so many friends and people, and like, I don't know why it just comes up because people. Well, I think it comes up a lot now because people have these parties, these gender reveal parties, when they find out what their kid's going to be, and I don't know. I just think I have 2 particular friends who are like, "Oh, I could never not find out. I'd have to find out." Like, it's like, and I'm just kind of like, because why? You know what I mean? I get the excitement, but having any polar opinion about that is just so interesting to me, and I think it says a lot. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe in Robyn's case, like they've already had enough changes in the last year or so that maybe she just any way she can kind of plan for it might be something that she's trying to do. But in this grand scheme of things with their family, it really wouldn't make too much of a difference either way what they end up having.
Right? Yeah.
So,
And of course, we know it's Solomon, but
spoiler.
I don't know. Okay, we can cut that. I guess I don't know how much of a spoiler it is. He's like 10, but
Right.
there's an interesting conversation that kind of comes up next about what it means to the adults what it means in a plural family when a wife is pregnant. And I thought this was so like I want to be like, what do you mean it's a physical proof of a physical relationship? Like they're married couples. Being a married couple is kind of, you know what I mean? It's
Proof
just
enough.
like,
Like,
yeah, like you really have to, like, to me it points to how much they're not comfortable with it
yeah.
with plural marriage, because that is
Yeah.
such a that is like, "Oh, you guys are doing it too?" Like, it's just
I mean,
it's
he
just
spent the
like,
night at so and so's place. What do you think happened? Like,
well,
I
yeah,
mean,
why
like,
did
doesn't mean he's doing it
why
every
did
night he's there or something, but
you've
like,
got 20 kids. You've got 20
yeah.
kids already. Like, what?
I mean, like, we all know what's going on. You're married. Like, it just
Yeah, it's just
I don't know. It seemed weird that Robyn was like over explaining that.
all of them were. Even Janelle said something about, like, it's just proof of a physical relationship that's happening or whatever, and it's like must have to really put yourself in a place of denial
Yeah.
if that brings up a reminder for you that that's a physical relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know. That it was
Because
just I was just
every night that you didn't spend with me would be a reminder, Like,
Yeah, or every day looking at the 10 other kids in this family, like, they didn't just show
yeah,
up here.
right? Like, nope, the stork brought those.
Yeah, but mine.
Like,
So I don't know.
okay.
It's just it's silly, but it just kind of was just like, I would love to have a conversation with you about this again now, because it's just so silly to me, but whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess the next thing is they sit down with the family and announce it, right? They
Yeah.
announce to all the kids that Robyn is pregnant, and Robyn is super nervous because
Yeah.
she knows she's the new guy in town. I think she's still like getting her, like, validation that she is part of this family. I feel like she's still
Hmm.
getting her confidence in that role. And so
Yeah.
she explained she's looking at all the faces of these people in the room to, like, gauge their reaction. And she immediately is like, Aspen and Maddie did not smile, they didn't say anything. Like, she knows exactly what everyone's face said at that moment, which I thought was telling of, like, her anxiety in that.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting their reaction though too. I mean,
Hmm.
what were your thoughts there? Like why they reacted like that?
So knowing this age, give or take the fact that they are probably pretty sheltered as very religious in a bubble community, like they came from a polygamous Mormon community, they're real buttoned up. I feel like they're just now very aware of what
Mhm.
that it means that dad's sleeping with Robyn too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I feel like it was that awkwardness of, like, oh, I know, oh, I got the puberty talk recently. Like, I
Right.
know the mechanics of what happened here, and it's making me uncomfortable. Is that the
Yeah.
vibe you got?
I think
Yeah.
that was a typical like anytime you're a teen and your parents announce that they're gonna have. I mean, luckily that didn't happen to me, but
No,
if
neither.
I think it would make you just really like feel awkward, like you just
Because
don't
you
want to
just
think of your
can't.
parents in that way.
So specifically, Robin mentions that Aspen and Maddie said nothing. Hunter was kind of stoic, but that's kind of also just been Hunter's deal since they got to Vegas. So who knows?
Yeah.
And Mariah is crying, and she has to leave the room, and she goes and Mary mentions that she looked around, Mariah was gone, and she was up in her bathroom, kind of having a moment.
Yeah.
So Mary goes in there to kind of comfort her. Cody also joins to comfort her. And I was kind of thinking to myself, like, Cody, you're not the person. Like, you're complicit in in like
Yeah.
her upsetness, even though it is not his fault that Mary can't have kids. But
Well, he
it's
like
still
sent
just like
Robyn up though too to like he was like Robyn, go check on Mariah and Mary.
my first reaction was that was not cool. You
Just
know,
let them be. Let them like because they're kind of like their own unit.
they
Like
are.
they're sort of like they're the ones in their house together now, and like they're kind of just tied. I mean, they're obviously tied together more so even than anybody else. That is just the two of them in that
Yeah.
little branch of the family. So like yeah, just they're gonna have their feelings about it, obviously, and Mariah has wanted more siblings and stuff, and has
Hmm.
felt very strongly that empathy towards Mary not being able to, and seeing probably closer
Yeah.
than the other kids how much it affects Mary. So like yeah, just let them work that
Hmm.
out, let them just react privately.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought I did. So Cody being there, I don't know. I thought it was sweet. He gave her a hug, and she seemed receptive to that. He left. Robin shows up, and at first I was like, this is not for you. This is not this is, you don't need to like stick you don't need to use your guilt to sort of like weasel your way into this situation. It's not about you. This second, I know this is about you. This second is not about you. However,
Hmm.
then she looks at her and says, "Are you feeling your mama's pain?" or something like that. And I thought that was actually a thoughtful thing to say, and also she wanted Mariah to know that it's okay that she's also upset.
Yeah.
She's not upset with Mariah for being upset.
Yeah.
So I actually thought my takeaway at the end of that was actually it was
Not as bad
I
as
don't
you
know
thought
if
it was
it,
gonna be.
I don't know if it was the right move to go up there, but I did appreciate what she was trying to convey to Mariah. I thought that was, and maybe it should have been done later, but
And maybe, I
I
mean,
don't
none
know.
of us are perfect, so who knows what the
Yeah,
absolute right thing to do would be. And
right.
that's a tough situation. Like, I mean, I felt for Robyn too, because, like, it is something that she's just happy about. She married someone that she's madly in love with and has this family that she's very excited about, and she's starting a new, having a new part of that
Yeah.
family. And so, of course, she's going to be excited. And I don't begrudge her that excitement by any means. She should be excited if that's something that she
Hmm.
wants. And, they've got the home and stuff and the love for this child. Great.
Hmm.
But so, I mean, I feel bad that she has to kind of a little bit contend with difficult emotions from other people that aren't just like being
Yeah.
supportive, happy. I mean, but that's life. Yeah, nothing's perfect. So
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. It's one of those. It's
She
hard.
married into a mature family. Like she married into a
Yeah.
family where there are almost adult teens. There are
Hmm.
15 kids there already. There are wives who've been married for 10, 3 decades,
Hmm.
it's like she did take that on, but also she does deserve to be excited and happy about this situation,
Yeah.
especially because
So I
she
know.
didn't come from like easy street either. Like
Yeah.
she's got a lot of stress in her own background in life and stuff, so it's exciting.
Yes, I mean, you can understand, like, this is her getting what she's wanted for years, so, like, she should be happy, but again, it's tough, but
Yeah, and the thing she kind of says is, "This is us permanently being bound together. Now we're permanently bound together. This is me permanently being in the picture now. This isn't just like my trial run any like she was obviously permanently. They take marriage very seriously. She was meant to
Mhm.
permanently be in the picture, but she's saying this is now like the final thing that says I'm going to be here for a while. Are you okay with me being here for a while? Are you okay with me having your sibling? Like that's kind of so
Right.
she's kind of identifying like the permanence and the seriousness of what this means to the family. And the other person that didn't respond that was interesting was Janelle.
I found that the most interesting.
Yeah. She doesn't really react or like congratulate Robin, which they get into it and explain that it had nothing to do with Robin, that it was the move weighed a lot on Janelle. She's unemployed right now. She's very aware of their finite resources, and I totally buy that. I have a hard time believing she couldn't find it in herself to go say congratulations, give her a hug, and maybe not be like effusive and like whatever,
Like
but just
Christine was really happy.
yeah,
Like, I don't know if that was put on or not,
maybe
or if that was
yeah,
genuine, but she put on a good show at least.
I could go both ways with Christine. I'm not sure. It seemed like thou doth protest too much energy to me, the reverse or whatever, but it could she loves kids. It could be she's genuinely excited, but also I could see it being not sincere. But
Yeah.
even so that being said, Janelle couldn't be like, "Hey Robyn, I'm congrats." And then like walk away. She doesn't have to be there to have a party or whatever, like if she's very stressed out. But if someone delivers that news to you and you're just like stone faced, it's a little bit
It's
hard
very
not to take
awkward.
that personally. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get it. Like, she's feeling pretty lost without work, and she says that was a huge part of her identity and stuff. So she's just kind of just dealing with her own crisis of moving. But I think it probably is her being kind of pissed at Cody to be like, we already are trying stretch to make
Yeah.
ends meet, and then you add another mouth to feed when we aren't working. Like, what the hell's wrong with you? This is not the best
Yeah.
time for that. And I think that was probably like she was
Yes.
angry about it. Which I
Yeah.
I don't blame her,
Like,
because it's like that's realistic. Like, you can't
yeah.
just like add a new person to the family when you're already
Mhm.
strapped for cash. Like, that's just irresponsible.
Yes. I would even be not surprised if there had been some conversations about this earlier where she's like, if you could just
Wait.
maintain where we're at for a little while till we get our feet under us. I could totally see that having maybe not, because
Yeah.
I could see them saying that's totally out of bounds for a wife to say to another wife or to another, not to have kids, or you know what I mean. That could totally be, but I could see her
Mhm.
trying to like get that message across, because I'm sure she's not. She knows in this culture you have kids immediately. That's how it goes.
But when so much of the financial burden has fallen on Janelle traditionally, like, I can get her being like, "You're just adding to it." Like, that's it. It just it's not
Yeah.
silly for them to want to have a child themselves that's theirs. Like, that's
Hmm.
I you can totally understand that, but like the timing of it is, in my opinion, quite dumb.
Immature.
But
It feels immature.
yeah, it does feel
Yeah.
immature. Yep.
Yeah. But as does a
You're
lot
like,
of
I
their.
get it. Like, you're
Yeah.
wildly in love and you want to have a baby. I get it. But like, look at what your life is doing right now. And again, Robyn's like 30, 31. So it's not like she's 40. Okay. So like
Yeah.
she's got years left where she could still get pregnant fine. So like, maybe just chill for like 6 months
Yeah.
even. But
Yeah. Yeah, it feels impulsive, maybe a little immature, but as we've
mhm,
seen, they are an immature couple, and not in a way that's I'm not saying insincere. I believe they're like so in love with each other and everything like that, but
mhm.
just the way they behave is just so like indicative of a young
Yeah.
relationship.
Puppy
So,
love. And
yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. I think we talk about Hunter.
Yeah.
So one of the kids that's not adjusting well to the move, especially, is Hunter. He's being
Yeah.
just a real like moody teen. Just he's got like nothing to say to his parents. Not interested in football. He won't talk to Cody. He's just kind of totally that depressed kind of teen stage right now.
Yeah, he's just up in his room most of the time and on his computer or whatever he's
Yeah.
doing.
Yep. Just
And they're
up in his
trying to
room.
get him to join football because apparently Robin's neighbor has kids that are in football and it was starting and they were trying to get him to join and he's like, no, no. Even though he loved football back home, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. He's just kind of non-responsive at the moment.
Like, well, Cody was going like, dealing with teenagers is a real challenge because you don't really get any feedback if you're doing it right. Like,
Oh, I
I
didn't
was
catch
like,
that, but that's
especially,
actually valid. The kid's not gonna be like,
yeah.
"Hey, by the way, great job, mom and dad. Great. I
Or
love
you
that
could
firm
really do
hand."
this. I need this from you. Like, they're not going to really tell you that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
Hmm.
Um, so I think we're kind of, let's see. Oh, church, right?
Yes, that they're holding church service at what, Mary's house or
So until they actually are in church, I didn't realize they were talking about a church service in their home. They're all like getting dressed. Logan's got this very Cody shirt on. It's like a button down with like a big weird graphic image, like upper
like the Ed
shoulder.
Hardy.
Yeah, like that, just corny fashion. He's
He
like
looks
Cody
like just
Jr.
again a mini Cody.
Yep, Cody Jr. I wrote. And then Savannah has fairy wings on that are so cute, and her mom's like, "Oh, you got your wings on."
But so they have a conversation then with trying to get them to go to church, and McKelty's like
Yeah.
not wanting to go
Yep.
because she
And
doesn't like that's being filmed.
so then this is again, I was real confused because I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't think the church is gonna want you to film it. Like I've got a feeling because I'm thinking they're
Yeah.
going to a church.
Yeah, you just bring in a
And
few film crew to a church
yeah,
service
I was like,
and be
this
like,
seems weird that they would bring cameras to church. But McKelty's got a, I don't know, I'd call it a half baked argument that she feels like it's wrong that they're recording. But given what we know about Mormons and their temple
yeah,
secrets, I kind of
hmm
wonder if that is a a sincere
concern
concern that is like taught to them, not to reveal like
reveal.
their yeah their teachings, their whatever happens in the temple
So
typically.
that's why it's interesting then that Cody and crew would be like cool with it, and then your teenager is the one calling you on that. That's a little weird. Like,
It was weird. It was a weird like dynamic to be happening because he said he disagreed, and I feel like maybe because they are holding a pretty informal in your living room church service that actually they're just leading it. It's not really the temple
and then
secrets,
it
whatever.
seems more like Bible study or
Yes.
like
Mm-hmm.
like a youth group kind of meeting or church group meeting, like
Yeah,
it's
that's what it looked
more of that
like.
vein. Well, because like
Mm-hmm.
Cody's up in front, I was like, what is he gonna be preaching here? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of is, but then like Mariah gets up and is reading like passages from the Book of Mormon, I guess, and so I don't know. I mean, it was churchy, but like a church service, but it wasn't like what I don't know. I guess I don't know what their church services are like in comparison
Yeah.
to like Lutheran church services that I've gone to. So I don't know.
Yeah. It felt
But
informal. It felt like a Bible study, kind of like an
yeah,
more organized Bible study, essentially.
yeah.
Something I thought was funny though was cut to Maddie at the top of the stairs, and they're like trying to get ready for church. Let's go, and she goes, "Oh, that was this morning. I forgot. I just didn't realize it was this
Uh-huh.
morning." And I'm like, "Oh, Sunday morning. Sunday morning. You just
What other
every
morning
Sunday
would it have
morning."
been? Like, come
Like,
on.
it snuck up on me. I didn't realize. I
But that's
don't,
like, I
I
mean, typical. Like, you think of when you're a teenager and stuff. Like,
just
I don't know. I
BS.
mean,
Yeah.
because like I remember being in confirmation, and we had like a rule that we had to go to church service at least twice a month during confirmation. And I remember feeling like that was a chore, like because you just wanted to
Yeah.
sleep it, like,
Uh,
and then you have to sit through an hour at church, and like I don't know, it's just you're a teen, like your attention span is not there.
did you see McKelty in the audience or whatever of the service when that was happening?
I don't remember seeing her there. Was she?
Yeah, I didn't spot her. I wasn't because they don't really
They let her not go then because of her
of her
being
reason.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, but they also didn't really film it. They filmed like a very brief bit of it. So I wasn't sure if they just didn't show as much of it that Cody had hoped they would show their whole service, or if they didn't show. You know what I mean? I don't know what if they kind of
Yeah.
compromised with her or something.
Yeah,
But
I don't know, but I mean, they maybe like filmed more, and that was just edited of what they actually showed.
yeah,
But
it
like
could have
maybe they
been.
were there the whole time filming.
I believe the next we have the family rolling up to a Presbyterian church. Is that right? And
Which I found a little bit surprising.
well,
But
I mean, as we find out, it doesn't like particularly work out, but I find it interesting how much they seem to equate their deal. They seem to try to want to make it seem like they're just another brand of Christianity. They keep calling it church. They keep calling it Presbyterian. Oh, we're going to this Presbyterian church, and I'm just like, but what you're doing is not really what they're doing at all. Like, you have some pretty foundational differences on what you believe.
like Mormonism is something
Hmm.
else though. Like it's Christian but not. Like
It's not Christian. Like, maybe that's controversial to say,
it
but
might be it might
we
be
don't
controversial.
we do not have the same we do not have the same beliefs. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
sorry, I'm saying we because I
We
am a Christian, and so Christians and Mormons don't have the same beliefs. If you brought the Book of Mormon around a Christian church, they'd be like, "No, I don't
no.
think so." It wouldn't really fly. it wouldn't really fly. And so if they especially in polygamy,
Yeah,
not
well,
an aspect of
especially
Christianity,
FLDS, even more like, than just the
right?
regular
On top of
LDS.
that, so I get what they're. So we should rewind maybe a little bit, because the reason they're going to the Presbyterian Church is not because they're looking to convert.
Yeah.
Not that I thought that, but I don't know. I thought that was funny for some reason.
Yeah.
It wasn't that funny. They want their kids to have a youth group to hang with, basically. And they're hoping that the church will be receptive to just letting the kids like do youth group events with them. And while the idea, I guess, on the surface makes sense, like they just want some wholesome kids for their kids to hang out with, basically, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
With similar values. It's just such a slippery slope of what are we saying the similar values are?
Yeah.
Because foundationally, you don't have the same values. Not that, I shouldn't say values. Kind of values.
Kind of. I mean, well, like, way of looking at the world is, I mean, I don't know how to phrase this. Like, I mean, they're obviously not, they're wanting to be around kids who are not like drinking and having premarital sex and doing drugs, and stuff like that. Sure. But like, they also do have a very different world view, though, that is a lot less open, I think, sometimes than average churchgoers, especially them being fundamentalists, like them dressing more modestly and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, if that's how you want to be, that's totally fine. But like, even just that, like you dressing more modestly, going to a school in Las Vegas, like you are going to stand out a little bit, I would think, and teach their own. But just saying, like, even someone going to a Christian church is going to be a little different than you in that respect.
Yeah, I think what they're looking for is just like, yeah, like you said, like structured kids who aren't on the streets. Like it's just that simple. But
they just need to start an ice blocking group, and I think they're all set.
Good luck in Vegas finding ice blocks. I mean, Pastor Ray that we meet seems like a lovely man, and I think Christine says that at some point.
Who is? I like how she's like, he's trying his best.
Yeah, she's real condescending towards Pastor Ray. She's really. I mean, I know she is trying her best. I think she's trying her best to not be really insulting, but I think she's being pretty damn insulting.
I know.
To Pastor Ray.
I'm like, excuse me, a group of
poor guys
come in and tell me how to run my church, like, or to be like, your church is not good enough. Okay,
call me a shark, like she calls it. So but so he's like basically like, yeah, the kids can hang. I mean, just so you know, we don't like necessarily condone your lifestyle, but we will not turn your kids away to hang out and stuff.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The perspective kind of for that is sort of to like offer them Christianity. You know what I mean? Youth group is
focused on that.
Kind of the point. Like, yes, it's like a safe, family-friendly, safe hang for kids for like an hour a week. That's what I grew up with. We youth group on Sunday nights, and you'd go and you'd basically have you'd play games, and you have a little
you do like a prayer kind of deal, and like maybe you like talk a little scripture, and like, and you have fun, you order pizza or something, like you're still doing fun things. It's not just like strict Bible study or something, but no, I mean, there is a religious element to it.
I mean, I would think you would argue that like the mission of those things is to bring Christ to people.
And just
kids bring their friends.
Kind of integrate your religion into your life and friendships, and I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's not.
But the religion being Christianity and the beliefs of Christianity, which are not equating to fundamentalist Mormon beliefs.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just like I get both because basically. I think it's sorry, I'm tangenting on this. I found this fascinating, and I think it's because I have so many like pastors in my life that I'm like have befriended that
I'm just imagining them groups and stuff that you do. So I mean, like you're obviously used to it now, and especially like I don't have that experience now. I have it as like a teen that I did youth group and stuff like that. But like it's different now, especially that you're more aware of stuff, and then doing that kind of thing as an adult, like.
I'm more aware of a pastor's like I have become more aware of a pastor's perspective in my later years because I'm friends. So I'm not just a kid who has a pastor.
25-year-old Haley.
I'm not just a kid who has a pastor that I look up to as an
Yeah.
authority figure. I have pastors who are my friends who I talk to as a friend.
And you've had some like really good conversation, it sounds like, with your pastors. Like you've had
Yes,
really in-depth
totally.
kind of conversations with them, which is cool.
Totally. And I think I understand the perspective a little differently than I ever did before. And it's
Yeah.
just so funny to picture one of these people that I'm close to in this position where they're like, yeah, sure, come bring your kids. Like, we're going to for sure preach to them. Like, not like directly like try to surround them, but like that's kind of this overarching deal of what this is about is like,
Yeah.
show you the love of God or whatever. And it's not going to involve Joseph Smith. Sorry.
We're
So,
not
like,
even going to mention Joseph Smith once. So
nope. And if you ask, we're probably going to have some like
some
conflicting
people might
information
not
for
even
you
know
if you're
who that
okay with
is.
that.
So like,
For sure not.
you
For sure.
know,
The average Christian church, definitely not. You and I happen to have a lot of knowledge about that.
but I mean, me as a 15-year-old just going to my local youth group and nope, had no idea. Never
No,
heard of him. Like,
no, never, definitely not. And so anyways, they're in like this like office kind of conference room talking to Pastor Ray about their idea. And he's like, yep, sure, bring him on over. And then Christine just suddenly is like, no,
it was
I can't.
this is
I
not our
can't just sit
church.
here and take this I can't take this anymore. I can't be silent.
It
It's
was
like we're telling the kids there's this big old ocean and you can go wherever. But actually, we're going to steer them towards these sharks. I'm like, Pastor Ray is just sitting here like, you just asked me if your kids could come here. I said yes.
and
And
you're
now
like,
you're insulting. She just like erupts. I'm like,
well, I
Christine,
like
man,
that
like,
Janelle was like, you know what? This is a family conversation. Let's not discuss it in front of Pastor Ray and make that awkward for him.
she immediately like gets her PR team on this and she's like, hey, let's table this. Like, she's got her corporate
This just
lingo.
got weird for Pastor Ray, so maybe we don't force that on him.
She's like, damage control. Pastor Ray just agreed to like let our weird kids go to his church, and then we immediately turn on him. Like, I don't think this is appropriate for Pastor Ray
Right.
necessarily. It's just so funny. They disagree. Like you fundamentally just disagree. So if you can't be like if you can't totally separate it the way that I think Mary and Janelle kind of do, where they're like, we're just looking for some activities for the kids. We're just looking to
Just a nice
have
thing
them
for
meet
them to
other
go
kids.
to during the week and make some friends, you know?
And yeah, make some friends that we think we would approve of, which maybe that's the issue is they're being weirdly like picky about who their kids are hanging with, and they think like the Christians are the next best thing to the
But then
Mormons that they're
I
used
have
to.
to just argue the point then that if you're so worried about that and your kid's falling into the wrong crowd, is there some reason you move to Sin City? Like, or any large city, not just Vegas itself, because I know like
Yeah.
regular Vegas outside the strip is not necessarily gambling and whatever. Like, you know, it's still a city. But like, why wouldn't you find a smaller town comparable to the size of Lehigh then in Nevada to move to? You know?
That and like we know that there's a polygamous population in Arizona. I don't know if Arizona has laws like Utah does, and that's part of their calculation or what, but they end up moving to Arizona anyways
Yeah,
eventually.
exactly.
So I can imagine they don't.
Exactly.
So just like there's that whole community in Canada where it's like the other founding
Like in
land
Vancouver area.
we read
right?
about. Yeah, we read about it at some point in one of our things, but
I think it was
there's
in your
another
River
very
Baron.
like it's like another homestead kind of situation like
Yeah.
Short Creek was. But so anyways, why did we move here? Don't know. Then there's a great follow-up question. There's a great follow-up question of what about Mormons? Why aren't we taking them to more Mormon? Because you don't have to be fundamentalist to be a Mormon either. There's probably a lot more Mormon churches
And a
or
lot more
whatever.
crossover of what you're gonna preach in church.
At least the basics, yeah.
You all believe in Joseph
At least you're talking about the same
and
book.
Brigham Young, and
Yeah.
you know,
Right. But then I feel like I'm jumping ahead, but it's kind of part of the same conversation where the family sits down to discuss the pastor, and they should at least be LDS where they take the kids. And I'm like, duh, it's the same faith. And I know, but they're concerned about being persecuted by the LDS, kind of, is what they say, right?
yeah, it's a Cody's
So
concern
what
is
versus the general population? because
I think
LDS has more of like a awareness of what their deal, like they're more aware
maybe.
of the divisiveness between, because they're more aware. There's
I
more history
I
of
think I
separation.
think that's probably the issue, but it still is like, so like I think that like you can't really um I guess I don't know what it's like personally, like if how open Mormons are to like outsiders though.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
like,
don't know.
I mean, are they like accepting that there are lots of different kinds of people in the world, and so there are like not everybody is gonna everyone's had different life experiences, so we're all gonna be a different way? Are they open to that kind of
Mhm.
view where they're like, yeah, I don't get it, but you're doing what works for you based on what's happened in your life, kind of deal, where
Yeah.
they would maybe still be accepting of like FLDS, even if they're like, I don't agree, but you do you? Or are they
But it's
like,
the kids.
absolutely not,
Well,
get away from me?
not for the kid. Like this Christian church doesn't believe in polygamy either, and they were
Yeah.
taking the kids just as like an act of giving the kids a good venue to hang.
Yeah.
So it's just hard for me. I don't know because I don't know any Mormons. Shocker, because we have a lot of, for some reason, interest in them.
Right.
But yeah, it's just I wonder if because the history just makes it more complicated. It's just hard for me to imagine that they would be less accepting at the LDS church of these kids than the Christian church would be of these kids.
Yeah.
That's where
You
I'm
think
like,
like we
how can it
have
be so
more in common than we don't, polygamy
right?
aside, but our foundations are pretty close. I don't know.
Very interesting. Let's see. I think they're getting this backyard kind of ready for the kids to hang.
Yes, and I wrote in all caps only just this truly gardening because, oh my goodness, it made my day.
There's dust like kicking up all over the place, and she's just like a little baby in the middle of it. Yeah. Like, okay.
And they're just like, hey, Truly. And
Kicking
she's
up
just
a
over
cloud
there
of
with her
dirt
little
in her
like
face.
can. Just,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my heart.
Otherwise,
Just
otherwise,
breathing it in.
Christine has purchased one of the classic like big blue Intex pools that I feel like everybody had at one point. But it's 18 feet and her yard is 17 feet, so can't do that.
Right.
Um, I don't know if she ends up buying a smaller one or what, 'cause she does like, eventually get one of those pools set up. And so they're getting the yard ready so the kids have somewhere to hang. Meanwhile, we find out later that there are two other pools that people already have, so I'm kind of confused as to why we needed this like weird shitty Intex pool when yeah. So
Yeah, Mary has a pool
50% pool
too,
already
which
we
I didn't
have, but I
realize.
guess I guess if it's that hot and it's Vegas and your backyard is a pile of rocks, then I guess you need something to hang.
For like the little kids,
Yeah.
I guess they wanted like a kind of wading pool.
I thought
But
it was very funny when they're talking about how Gwen was so pumped about their having a backyard, and then Gwendolyn, and then she's not pumped about the yard. It's just like this. They cut to this yard with dirt and rocks. So
which was my reaction seeing when they were looking at these houses, and I was like, those backyards though, like
so
that's
sad.
not. I
They do a beautiful job
was like,
cleaning
that's
it up.
terrible.
Yeah, they do a beautiful
They did a good
job.
job. Like they made it look really nice.
I wonder what kind of
So
life that.
props to them.
Yeah, I kind of wondered what kind of lifespan that AstroTurf was gonna have if they just kind of freshen that up because I feel like they get dirty and faded really quickly, and then look like crap.
I think the sun would bleach it pretty
That too.
quick, wouldn't
It'll
it?
turn like that. If you ever seen like a camper that has AstroTurf out front, there's like a patch that turns like
Mhm.
blue from the sun, and then it's green where they get
Yeah,
the
and then where the awning is over it, then
yeah
that part's normal.
yeah yep. It's just not
Yep.
a real classy look, but I'm sure they can just keep
Yeah.
refreshing it. I thought it was funny the way that these dump trucks just unloaded sand and rock just out in front of in the street in front of their house, and they all had to take shovels and then carry it to the. It seemed incredibly inefficient.
Yeah. I was like, was there not a better way for them to have done that? Like, is there no access, I guess, maybe to the backyard from like the driveway even? Like, I mean, I guess I don't
They have
know,
those
but
weird like
that
stone.
seemed like a bummer.
They have those like stone walls, so maybe it would have been. It wasn't possible, but it just seemed like a real bummer to have just dump trucks unloading piles of sand in front of your house in the street, and then to have to carry it all by shovel to the backyard.
And they're just like making the teens do it. I'm
Yeah,
like, what a fun day for them.
yeah. I'm sure it's really nice and cool out and on the asphalt
Right?
in Vegas.
Sun just beating down and they're just shoveling dirt.
So the next thing that happens in order is the family sits down to discuss Pastor Ray we kind of covered that.
Mhm.
But then they also talk about having the kids share their thought, which was fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was really interesting that like so Maddie was the one, I guess, kind of her. I mean, especially saying like I don't like church is what you're saying.
Hmm.
And I don't know if she meant like family
I think
church
she said
or
she
just
hates
church in
their church.
general.
I hate our church is what I think she said, and then she kind of
Like going to church at Mary's.
whatever that. Well, I see they use again. They use the word church pretty loosely. I don't know if they're saying
Yeah. So I couldn't tell what she meant, really.
none of them. The whole time it's a little confusing because you're like, oh, are you talking about the fundamentalist Mormon church? Whatever.
Faith,
Like
going to church in general,
she said
or
our church, so I don't know if that means their faith, right? Like you're saying, if they're kind of referring to their faith as the church, or if
yeah.
she's saying the way they practice church in Mary's house she doesn't like.
Yeah, I just couldn't tell. Like if she just was the way McKilty was, where she's like, I don't want to go, and here's why. If Maddie was sort of feeling something similar,
Yeah, Maddie's
or if she's just like, you know what, I'm not about church right now in my life. Like I don't want this.
it's
I just
yeah.
couldn't. I don't know which way it was.
It's hard because Maddie's so angsty in general that it's hard to like
Yeah.
parse out what is just teen angst and what is sincere. And she seems
Right.
really down for Christianity, and I don't know for sure. I think that's what she does now. I think she is mainstream Christian at this point in her like as an
Hmm.
adult. So that would be
Interesting.
yeah. So I don't know if she had a friend who was Christian. She was kind of always into that a little bit more than her own, or where that like seed is planted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
But she gets into like a her and Robin kind of had an argument there, which I was a little bit surprised at.
Robyn came in real hot
Oh
for
yeah.
people who are not her children and that she's known for a year. Like I could
Yeah,
feel
I was like,
myself
maybe ease off the throttle a bit there, lady, because that was intense. Like,
I could feel myself
mm,
being a little like protective over the kids when Robyn was kind of yelling
yeah,
about their frontal lobe not being good, which
yeah,
is true. But also, these people get married at age 18,
yeah,
so like, where are we drawing the line on the frontal lobe talk? Because you know,
exactly. Because I mean, technically, I think it's 25 is when it
truthfully,
fully
I believe,
forms.
yeah, yeah,
So I mean, that's just your age right
yeah,
now.
I
Like,
know.
and think of how many other like adult life experiences you've had since becoming an adult.
Since being
Like that's
18, a lot, yeah, like everything.
yeah. I mean, since 18 years old, like
Hmm.
everything through college, everything through post college, until
Hmm.
like, so I mean, it's a little, yes, okay, your frontal lobe hasn't fully developed, and they talk about like the effects of drinking and drugs and
Yeah,
stuff on your brain when it's not, okay, whatever. But like, you can't really like negate though decisions that you've made from the ages of 18 to
no,
25 per se. They're maybe not the best decisions you could have made ever in your
but
lifetime,
you can't say that they're
but
incapable of
they also
making.
doesn't mean that they're bad decisions either. Like
But you
it,
can't say they're incapable of making a decision before they're.
exactly,
That's the thing, and it's
exactly.
just like so. She's so intense, and
It's a little insulting.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And also, it's interesting that she comes in so hot. And she kind of explains we've done so much to preserve our faith and to like be able to practice our faith. And I get that. I get that she's like we moved here so we could do what we believe, and we're just gonna get fold that we're gonna give that up this easily. But it's just I don't know. It's just all is like a slippery slope. Every like aspect of this conversation is so the opinions are so strong for things that are just so like a stretch of what they're claiming. It feels like a stretch.
And again, like she has such stepmom vibes. Like I know she's a
Yeah,
mom, but like the other three wives and moms have been there for the kids' entire lives. And then you have this other person come in. And like again, we've talked about like maybe you have a rule where you don't add another wife this late in the game. Like I think you've said that
hmm
at one point.
yeah,
So it's like yeah, because it does kind of fuck some shit up in a certain way. And especially when you have teenage kids who've gone their whole lives with these three
yeah.
moms, and then you have this other new lady who's then coming in with the same weight as your other moms, and that doesn't. It makes sense that they would want it to be that way in a perfect world, but it doesn't really make sense of that actually in reality being how it would be,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it felt really weird that she was so aggressive about.
I felt like she was overstepping.
Yes, it felt like she maybe even didn't need to be a part of that conversation. It's
Yeah.
not even her kids
Because
in
I'm like, if
question.
you, for your kids, don't want that, great. I mean, but like her kids weren't a part of the discussion with the youth group anyway, you know?
Well, I thought that too. I thought, well, Janelle and Mary are fine with this, so like let their kids go.
Yeah.
But that's like also a fine line too of, well, Janelle and Mary's kids are doing this and Christine's kids are not. And like they're fully siblings with each other, but yet they are going to distinguish, but there are always going to be differences based on who your mom is. It's just so it's another one of those like funny imaginary kind of lines that happens the same way, like I don't know why I don't know, it's to go with me, I guess. I don't know if this equates, but the same way that having a baby feels like an invasion of privacy, feels like an assault of like inappropriate information about your husband and his other relationships. It just seems like a made up barrier that is there just cuz it has to be to make this weird lifestyle work.
Yeah. And I think, the thing is too, like, even just a traditional nuclear family that has several kids. Well, each kid's got a different personality and different needs. So, I mean, you're not doing the exact same thing. You're not
Right.
cookie cutter for each single kid. This kid maybe needs more of such and such. This kid doesn't need that. Like you have to tailor for the individual human being that you're raising.
Mhm.
So, why wouldn't it make sense to do different things for different kids in this family?
Yeah, like even give
You
it up to
know?
the kids to decide, but they feel like they can't give it up to the kids to decide
Yeah.
because their frontal lobes aren't. It's
Because
such
they're
a.
so worried that the kids are going to be around these like delinquents or something.
It feels like they know it's arbitrary and they're just grabbing at threads to like maintain their, because if you pull, it's another thing where you start pulling at that thread and then it all comes apart and all of a sudden you're questioning everything. So it feels like they're just like,
Mm-hmm.
nope, this is the way we have to believe or else it all falls apart. It didn't make sense, and yet I was like, I don't know who I agree with necessarily if I'm looking at the best interests of this family as they are and not trying to change their beliefs. Are
Well, to change things up a bit, I was not Team Robyn this time. I was Team Janelle.
you not usually a little bit team Janelle? Are you not?
I mean, a little bit Team Janelle, but I lean more Robyn than the average. Like, Robyn gets a lot of hate, and I'm usually like trying to give her the benefit of the doubt
Okay.
because I understand her emotions more, and Janelle's not that way. But I was like, I'm so Janelle in this point. Janelle is right. This whole episode, I was like Team Janelle, even with
Yeah.
her like not congratulating Robyn. I was like, I understand why that
Mhm.
would hurt, and I feel like she could have handled it better. But I also was still like, Team Janelle, she can
Yeah.
do no wrong this episode for me. Like, which
Janelle
is a little odd, but that's where I was at.
Janelle very rarely does wrong for me, I guess, is the difference there. And yeah, of course, I was Team Janelle. I kind of was like, on the flip side, I don't think that I would drop my kids off at a Mormon youth group just to give them
I
somewhere to
probably wouldn't.
hang, right?
I'll be honest, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Um,
Would you drop your kids? Okay, as
because
someone who's not like super involved in a church or like organized religion generally, would you drop them off at a Christian youth group?
it would depend on the
If you
church.
felt like, okay, if you met with Pastor Ray and felt like it was just a good like place to hang out.
So I think of like what I had for my youth group was not super. Like we were pretty. I hope at least. I mean, I say this when in looking back
Yeah.
on. So I maybe I would say something different, but I would hope we were pretty open.
Yeah.
And accepting of people who are different. And like I think about like what you've talked about with your church and pastors and stuff, that they seem like pretty open and like intelligent people, and that they have like a good like conversations and stuff with others. And I don't know, it would have to be a certain type of place that I would want to drop my kids off.
Yeah,
like
totally.
I want to vet it first.
Yeah. I, as a churchgoer, wouldn't even drop my kid off at just any youth group either. Like, I would definitely want to know.
I'd have to make sure, like it depends, like
Yeah. But
because there are some churches that I will not agree with.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like that's just me, and I wouldn't want my kids exposed to certain like bigoted ways that some religions do have. Just being honest, but so
do you think
it would really depend.
I think LDS is out of an LDS youth group is out of the question.
Unfortunately for me, I feel
Yeah.
like it would be, and this is no offense to anyone in the LDS.
Mm-hmm.
If they believe this life is right for them, great. It is not for me.
Yeah.
So I would just not put my children there. But
it's an
that's,
interesting,
again, everyone is different.
yeah. But it's an interesting perspective when you're looking at this conversation, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, like Christine herself, if she really felt that way, and like,
yeah.
okay, then that's how you feel. Like, you got to do what feels right for you. So,
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, okay. I think the next thing we get to is the fully clothed co-ed's pool party, right?
fully clothed.
They're like worried about
I think Logan was kind of living it up at this pool party.
a little flirty with that one girl.
He had a lot of girls to hang with.
There was one particular girl. I feel like there was some real banter happening.
Right.
And he was really like the ringleader of all the events too. It seemed like.
Yeah.
When he like cannonballs 2 inches from that girl, I would have been like, I would have murdered you if I were her. But okay.
You have to wonder if, like, did she want her hair to get wet?
Probably not. I mean, they did like jump in immediately.
Probably not. She wanted to look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Cody talks as he's like talking with the other parents. He's kind of saying how this is kind of on the fringe for him, like having a pool party with co-eds is like uncomfortable for him. But again, I say they're fully clothed and fully
and they
supervised.
had a ton of parents there.
Yeah, and very supervised, right? So I was kind of like, what do you compare?
Because it's not just like the Browns there as supervising, but they also had like a lot of their friends' parents over and stuff too that they were chatting with. So I mean, they had so many adults. Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
and it's not a big backyard. It's all visible from every point. It was just I wanted to know what his like concern was. Just like the lack of modesty with wet clothing on, or what,
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Just wondering, like, if they'd have impure thoughts, maybe. I don't know.
Please.
I mean, they're teenagers, so it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
yeah. Oh, Hunter like ditches the party to go hang out with Christine and Truly, which I thought was sweet / very sad.
I know.
He's just really not having a good.
I feel bad for him. He's just really struggling, and like he was upstairs, like playing his computer game.
Yeah.
But then he goes over and is hanging out with Christine's family, and cuddling Truly, and I don't know. I just felt really bad. Like he's at a really tough age, and being a boy too, and like kind of keeping his emotions, close to the vest, and just
yeah,
I just feel bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of where we close it out. I was surprised at the number of parents that were present at this party that like wanted to hang out and chat.
Yeah.
Did you have any other, and the number of kids, a lot of kids there, but did you have any other?
They seemed like they were making friends, fine, like
having fun and like not uncomfortable. They didn't seem weird at all about it. Yeah, I thought that.
Yeah, I mean, even like Mariah and stuff, where they were all, her and like a group of girls are just like dangling their feet in the hot tub and stuff. Like they all just seem like they were getting along fine. So like, it's kind of a good indicator that they'll find friends, they'll fit in. Like they're doing well already. So,
and if I recall, they all do settle in after a point. I guess a talk about sexuality with the kids. It seems.
How fun for them to have that documented on camera.
I know. How fun for them to have all this age. I keep thinking, I bet they can't watch any of these videos of them as like these.
Oh, I'm so glad. I would never want to rewatch that age. I can't even imagine.
Me either. Especially just like Maddie and Mariah. Okay. Oh, shoot.
Oh, we should maybe discuss that.
Yeah, we definitely should. I totally forgot until just now. So, Mariah Brown recently on Instagram came out as trans, and they prefer to go by Leo or Lee. What was the other name? There's two names. Leon or Leo.
Though they've changed their name, I saw, to Leo in the Mountains. Is their
the
name
handle
now on Instagram? Yeah, so I'm guessing Leo. I think Leo. Leo's easier for me to say than Leon for whatever reason. I don't know.
Leon, I just don't love that name. Leon, it just seems like a number.
I like Leo better than Leon anyway.
It seems more youthful to me. So, although it's Leo in the Mountains, but then their like name and their bio is Leon.
Huh.
Their pronouns are they them now. So we've had Sam and I have talked because it's hard. We're not sure how to because we're watching them in 11
The
years
past.
ago when they identified as Mariah, as she, her,
Mhm.
and they're referred to as Mariah and she, her.
Yeah.
If we should change that to how they identify
Leo?
now, or if it makes sense to refer to them. I don't know. Do we? I don't know. I'm still not. I'm
Because, like,
still.
I don't want to be
No.
disrespectful because I know in Leo's post that they put when you're referring, like, when you talk to me or talk about me, they want to be called Leo.
Yep.
So I completely get that. And talking in the present, I mean, I'll probably mess up because it's quite a change to just wrap your brain around, but we'll
Yes.
do our best, to remember
Especially when we're
and use the
living in
correct
this.
pronouns. And,
Yeah. When we're living in this other version of them so much, you and I,
yeah.
because they, you know what I mean?
The whole time we're just talking
Yeah.
about Mariah, and Mariah went and did that, and it's
Yep.
not trying to be insensitive or
No.
insulting in
Yep.
any way. It's trying to be clear of who we're talking about, and that at that time Leo was Mariah. But there are some people
Who have
in the
different.
trans community who do not even in the past want
Right.
to be referred to by they call it their dead name, I guess
Yeah.
is the terminology. And
Yep.
please correct me if I'm wrong, because like this is a learning curve for all of
Yep.
us, so we're trying to do our best. But
Yeah. And everyone, I think, has different feelings about it, depending on how they feel about their past and
yeah,
their name. It's just like,
I
so.
think so,
So
yeah.
I don't know. I guess we haven't even come to a conclusion. If we're gonna, I feel
I don't know what
I
the best route to take is.
erring on the side of, I feel like we should call them Leo and them, and refer to them as they them
To be
Leo.
respectful.
I think so. We're gonna need to maybe like put a post-it note or something so I can, because we talked about this like a few weeks ago, and it's been a while, so we didn't record. And then we get into this episode, and I'm talking all this stuff about Mariah, and it's just like I just now, as we're
And then you're like,
closing,
oh, but do we? Yeah.
realized that was wrong. So
I guess because we don't want to like confuse anybody listening, like we maybe will have to like for at least a few episodes talking, if we change then to Leo, have to like clarify who we're
beginning of,
talking about. Yeah, be like, FYI, this is why we're saying Leo now.
yeah,
Leo and Mariah are the
yeah,
same person, but no longer Mariah. That's not how they want to be referred to. It's a weird line to walk when you're talking about someone in the past.
yeah.
But
It's such a specific scenario to be in.
yeah, yeah, because I'm like, I'm not sure there's an absolute correct way to go about it.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we can like
But
end this episode and whatever. But yeah, just a little note, PSA, that we are going to adjust to that, and we'll try to remind you all that we have made the adjustment so that it's not confusing. And yeah, I can't wait for next week's
yeah,
episode. Thanks for coming back. And
yeah. Next week sounds really
it'll be
interesting.
interesting.
So,
All right.
right, these poor kids. Oh my god.
All right.